How's everyone doing? Whoa, that's loud. Okay. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. So this session is a follow-up session to a few of the zero-ETL integration sessions that we've done throughout reInvent. At reInvent, we announced a number of zero-ETL integrations. We've spoken, there's a session about the RDS MySQL zero-ETL integration, the Aurora MySQL zero-ETL integration, the Aurora Postgres zero-ETL integration. And so this is a relatively short session. We're going to take a look at some demos specific to Aurora MySQL. Aurora MySQL is the one zero-ETL integration that has reached general availability. So we'll take a look into how you set up an integration, as well as what you do with an integration, and just the general sort of performance of a zero-ETL integration. But just to set the context, I think we can all agree that data is a source of competitive advantage. So as customers like yourselves become more data-driven and use data as a source of competitive differentiation, it's important to be able to get data that is generated or stored in one data store into another that may be more optimized for analytics or for processing that you want to handle. And so that's really what the zero-ETL integration is all about, making it easy to get data from one data store into another. And in this session, we are obviously speaking about Aurora MySQL as a source and Amazon Redshift as a destination. So just a little bit about Amazon Aurora. It's a relational database service that combines the speed and availability of high-end commercial databases with the simplicity and cost-effectiveness of open source. It is compatible with MySQL. It's compatible with Postgres. And one of the key innovations with Aurora is the separation of compute and storage, which enables us to do a lot of interesting things, such as provide high availability, scale out to many read replicas within a region, scale out to read replicas across region, have continuous automated backups, and provide a sort of this unparalleled high performance. Similarly, on the Redshift side, Redshift really sits at the center of your data journey. It's a fully managed petabyte scale data warehouse that's deeply connected into other data offerings and delivers the best price performance in cloud data warehousing. And so, zooming out a little bit, you've got Redshift in the center, and you've got many ways to get data in, which you see on the left-hand side of the screen, and then many tools, many features, and many different ways to use that data and leverage that data, from building Gen AI applications to deep integrations with BI tools, and then running open source analytics engines on data that is stored in Redshift. So with a zero-ETL integration, there are many reasons to build a data pipeline. And there are many tools and features that AWS provide to make it easier and more manageable to build that data pipeline. But for many use cases where you're just trying to get data out of Aurora and into Redshift, we want to make that easy. And so that's where the zero-ETL integration comes in. It's a simple and secure way to enable near real-time analytics on petabytes of transactional data. And so it's a really easy way to just have your data replicated from Aurora to Redshift in near real time. And so instead of batch analytics, you can move to near real-time insights. And that's really what we mean when we talk about operational analytics. It's near real-time analytics on operational data. And this is particularly interesting when you think about pulling data from multiple database clusters into a single data warehouse. And so you can aggregate data and create views on top of data coming from multiple database clusters. So just moving on to some of the recent developments in zero-ETL. Aurora MySQL zero-ETL integration with Amazon Redshift reached general availability recently. From preview to GA, we added additional regions. We added support for the API and the AWS CLI, so you can programmatically set up, maintain, and control zero-ETL integrations. We improved the getting started experience, which we'll take a look at in a second, to really make it easy to get started from the console, not having to sort of go into the setup details of a source or destination cluster. We also enabled events and notifications to keep you well aware and informed of what's going on with the zero-ETL integration. So you can subscribe to events to know when a table, there's an issue with a table and it needs to be reseeded. Additionally, if a table needs to be reseeded, the system will automatically try to reseed a table or resynchronize the table to Redshift, but you can also trigger that on your own now. And last, we're on a continual path to add support for additional data types. And so we do a data type mapping as the data moves from Aurora over to Redshift. And so with GA, we've now added support for the JSON data type. And then here at reInvent, we announced the Aurora Postgres zero-ETL integration with Amazon Redshift in preview. So now both engines in Aurora support, support zero-ETL integration. Aurora MySQL is GA, and Aurora Postgres is in preview. So let's take a look at the getting started experience. And so what you see here is the AWS console. We're going to navigate over to the RDS console, and we're going to set up a Aurora MySQL zero-ETL integration. Excuse me. Is that moving? Yep, there we go. Okay, so we are, sorry. Let's start that video over. Hold on.
What are you trying to do?
It's okay.
I can't see.
All right, there we go. Okay. So we're in the AWS console. This is obviously a recorded video, but it was recorded in real time, so you can sort of see how things work. We're going to go over to the RDS console, and we are going to create a zero-ETL integration. You need to create a Aurora MySQL cluster. We support version 305.0 and above. You've got the zero-ETL integration console. It's accessible from the left-hand navigation bar. And when you create your Aurora MySQL cluster, you need to enable a few parameters. And so you can go and create a new parameter group. We can also take care of that for you if you don't want to do that on your own. This is a logical replication-based system, and we use the enhanced binlog, which is a standalone feature for Aurora MySQL, to reduce the performance overhead, the performance impact of enabling logical replication on Aurora MySQL. So the 3 steps of creating an integration are that you prepare your source database, you prepare your target data warehouse, and then you create that zero-ETL integration. So we'll just go through these steps rather briefly. So we'll click Create Zero-ETL Integration, and that's going to take us to the flow of creating that zero-ETL integration. You can start that from the previous screen, or you can go select, and if you've got a list of database clusters, you can go start the process from your list of databases as well. It works for both provisioned clusters, provisioned instance types, as well as serverless, and you can mix and match those within Aurora today. So I'm selecting the cluster, and I am going to skip ahead briefly here. And so we're now in the create zero-ETL integration flow. We're going to give the integration a name. You can name it whatever you want. Then we will click next. We've selected, because we started from the database screen, it has the database name, the cluster selected, but I can go pick a different compatible database cluster version. And then that fix it for me screen, that error message you saw on the previous screen, it's telling me, hey, like your cluster isn't set up appropriately to run a zero-ETL integration on it. And so if I click fix it for me, the system will automatically go and create a new parameter group and apply the parameters and reboot that database for you. And this makes getting started really easy. So if you want to just go play with the feature, you just create the cluster, and then you can have it set everything up for you. We're not going to wait for the database to finish rebooting, because that takes a minute or so. So you just click confirm and hit reboot and continue. And then in the background, that database is being set up to use zero-ETL integration. We'll also specify the target Redshift data warehouse, and you can see that the database is being worked on by the system. Next, you can specify a data warehouse in the current account, or you can specify a data warehouse in a different account. And depending on what your data access policies are, we support both cross-account and same-account integrations, and you just can specify whatever policy you want for that. So I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. You know, we'll select the target data warehouse, and then we'll go through the rest of the steps, which you can apply tags to the integration. You can specify your own encryption key, but I'm just going to skip ahead and go to the next screen once everything has been set up appropriately and we're ready to click create on the integration. Typically, creating the integration, exporting the data from Aurora, loading it into Redshift takes 20 to 30 minutes. We're obviously not going to wait for that, but once you hit create zero-ETL integration, the system kicks off and runs for you. Now the last step, once that integration is complete, is active, is to go accept the data into Redshift. And so because of our policy of, we don't want the administrator of one service to be able to dictate what happens in another service, you need to go over to Redshift, accept that data in, and create a database where that data then lands. And so we'll flip over to Redshift. We will then accept that data into Redshift and create our database once it loads. So now we're in the Redshift console. And we'll go over to the zero-ETL integrations tab, where you can see that this integration is active, but there's no database attached to it. And so if you click into the integration, it'll give you the option to create a database, you name that database, and then your data is available to be queried and analyzed in Redshift. Next, Jyoti's going to take you through what happens, what's the value of once your data is available in Redshift.
Thanks, Adam. I hope the mic is working. Hi, everyone. My name is Jyoti Agarwal. I'm a product manager with Redshift team. Okay, let's move ahead. In this demo, I'll show you how the Aurora database, the data that you have in Aurora gets replicated to Redshift within a few seconds. Currently, my warehouse has 6 tables, and they came from a zero-ETL integration between my Aurora MySQL database and the Redshift warehouse. So now I'll go back to my Aurora DB and add a new table to it. And I'll call it category_copy. And let's just go back to Redshift and refresh the table list. My table made its way over, which would be empty, so I'm just running the query to show that I have an empty table over here in Redshift. And let's just insert some data in MySQL. So we inserted 11 rows in my MySQL DB. I'll rerun the same query again on Redshift. And we have the rows updated here. Now the following query is just to get the category description of musicals. So it's at musical theater right now. So let's go back to the MySQL DB and try to update this category to something else. So we can see that one row got changed. I'll rerun the same query again on Redshift. And the description got updated. Pardon the spelling mistake, please. To monitor your integration, you can go back to the Redshift console, click on zero-ETL integrations in the left nav and the integration ID, and you see all sorts of metrics like lag, number of tables replicated, number of tables failed. I don't have any tables that are failed right now, and you can see the lag has been consistently below 25 seconds and is currently at 18 seconds, or at the time of my demo. So once this data is in Redshift, you can leverage all of the Redshift functionality, including high-performance complex joins, connecting it with other BI apps, or integrating with your Spark-based applications, or joining it with your data from Data Lake, or sharing it with other consumers across your organization using Redshift data sharing. And in this demo, I'll show you one quick example of such a use case. So I'll be using Redshift ML to build a machine learning model on top of my operational data that came from zero-ETL with Aurora MySQL. This data set represents ticket sales of different shows, events, and concerts for a fictional website called Ticket in the year 2022. Now I'll go ahead and play it. So using Redshift Query Editor v2, I'll transform this replicated data using materialized view to extract total sales for each event that happens every day. The sales table and event table are both my zero-ETL tables that came in from MySQL. As you can see in this query, we are aggregating over the sales to produce the total amount that we need. This MV has data for the year 2022 from January through December. Now you can run all sorts of predictive analysis on this aggregated data using Redshift ML, and I'll use a forecast model to try and forecast the sales for January 2023 with just a create model statement from the query editor itself. You can see the contents of the model using the show model command, and now that the model is ready, we'll replicate the contents to the table. And we name this table as forecast sales output 2023_01. Yeah. Now just viewing the contents of this table with a simple select statement, we can see that we have the forecasted sales for January for each month with different percentiles. Now we've been in general availability for some time, and lots of customers, as you can see here, have used zero-ETL, have benefited from zero-ETL. They've gone from multiple hours to a few minutes, and it's working for them for their near real-time applications that they've built on Redshift, their near real-time dashboards, and it's made their life simpler and easier. So these are just some of the testimonies from our happy customers that we have right now. And we are at time, but zero-ETL is a part of a broader story. Using Redshift, you can bring in data from multiple sources on your left and your destination on your right can be different destinations as well. You can with zero-ETL, we enable you to bring all this data and take data-driven decisions for your organization. And I'll just skip through. These are different sessions we had on zero-ETL. At reInvent, we announced 3 more zero-ETL integrations with Redshift. Please go check out the other zero-ETL sessions. And you've just completed an analytics superhero session. Thank you so much.